Oh, the hills are alive with the sound of music. Welcome along, viewers, to another canter with the Gallivanter. It is 49 degrees on this overcast and dreary November morning as we march steadily towards the Thanksgiving holiday. Out and about on the Moto Guzzi Breva 1100. It's a bike that you guys haven't seen yet. It's only been in my garage for a few months. But we're going to take a ride out to the Harriman State Park. There's some nice twisty roads out that way. And then we'll stop and I'll give you a little walk around. This is a 2006 Moto Guzzi Breva 1100. It has about 3,750 miles on the clock. And I know the owner and I know the service history, and so when it came up for sale about 3 months ago, it made for a very attractive offer. It's a big old V-twin, a transversely mounted 90-degree V-twin. And the first time I rode it, it actually reminded me very much of a BMW air-cooled boxer motor. Certainly when you flip the throttle, it gives you the little rocking motion. The gearbox is very similar. It's kind of a clunky gearbox, shaft drive. So the similarities between this and perhaps even an R90 now, but certainly the air-cooled boxer motors from the early 2000s, the similarities are quite strong. Naked bike, so wind protection is, well, certainly from the waist up there is no wind protection. Surprisingly, and it might be because of the engine shape, my legs don't seem to be getting much wind, which is nice because it is a little bit brisk this morning. It is a nice bike to tootle around on. It's not the lightest bike. I want to say it's about 230 or 235 kilos. But that weight is carried quite low down. You know, I think a lot of that weight's probably carried in the shaft drive system. Obviously the way that the gearbox is orientated in front of and below the engine. It's not as low a center of gravity as a boxer motor, obviously. But it carries its weight nicely. This bike is carrying a set of 1-inch risers on the handlebars. I did take them off initially, but put them back on because what it does is it just allows me to sit even more upright, which, given the nature of the bike and the type of riding that I do on it, it just makes for a more relaxing posture. The bike did come with a full set of panniers. Moto Guzzi panniers, which I don't need on a day-to-day basis. Certainly the bike is wide enough without them, but the option is there to tour with this bike without doubt. Alright, so here she is then, the Moto Guzzi Breva 1100. As I say, this is a 2006 model, and it's got about 3,750 miles on it. As you can see, it's a big transversely mounted V-twin. I guess that's the Moto Guzzi signature, and it gives the motor a lovely, characterful rocking motion when you flip the throttle. Noticeable especially if you're at the traffic lights. The bike itself is not, as I say, not overly powerful. I want to say it's at about 86 horsepower and something like 64 foot-pounds of torque. So transmission is a 6-speed shaft drive. We have 180 profile tire at the back, 120 profile tire in the front. We've got those lovely twin pot Brembos in front. They do a good job of hauling this bike down from speed. It is heavy, 235 kilos, riding on these 45 millimeter right way up front forks, if you look at that, and obviously single-sided drive shaft on the back. Not sure what the tank capacity is, to be perfectly honest. I haven't filled it up to the brim from empty, but this is a plastic shroud. This is not the actual tank. I think the tank size is about 18 liters. I'll confirm it in the writing. There are the risers that I was talking about, and that is about a 1-inch rise. So one of the things that I do want to do with this bike is change out this exhaust, this muffler. It is humongous, and I think something a little smaller, a little more throaty would do this bike wonders. Tell you what, let me bring the dashboard to life. Something strange that I haven't seen before, but it actually reminds me even more of a BMW, is that the dashboard is orange. But there she is. And as I say, that big saddle makes her a very comfortable ride. So, what is this bike like to ride? Well, I'll give you 2 words: nostalgic and relaxing. Nostalgic because, as I have said previously, it reminds me so much of a early 2000s boxer motor, and I spent quite a bit of time riding an R1200 GS in that period. It reminds me a tremendous amount of that bike, the old air-cooled boxer. And relaxing because, well, that's just what it is. It's got a lovely wide seat. The motor is full of character. It's not arm-wrenchingly powerful. The torque is very smooth. It's a torquey motor. Horsepower, I think maxes out at 85, 86 horsepower, but there's something like 63 or 64 pounds-foot of torque, and it's available fairly low down, so it makes for a very enjoyable, smooth ride. They say this is an Italian cruiser almost. It is quite simple in terms of the electronics. There's no traction control or ABS, heated grips, and haha, if you think that there's a heated seat. It does have an LCD display, and you can scroll through a couple of functions. There's no electronically adjustable suspension or anything of that effect. It's a good old-fashioned normal, let's put it that way, motorcycle. It is, compared to the KTM, it's like comparing the Model T Ford to the Starship Enterprise. But that's half the appeal of this bike, It's a back to basics motorcycle. Admittedly, it's a fuel injected bike. If I really want back to basics, I'll take the Triumph out. I'll go Bonneville. The gearing is long, I will say that. Maybe that's what helps make you such a relaxing ride, is that you're not short shift, or you're not having to shift through these short gears the whole time. I don't even know if they'd invented quick shifters at this time. Not that I think it would actually work on a gearbox like this. Have you ever heard of a tractor with a quick shifter? But it's fun. It brings a smile to the dial. And that is really, I think, the true test of a motorcycle like this. If it has that enjoyment factor, then it's a good bike. So as you can see, the weather has turned against us. I'm sure it's coming through on the camera as on the lens, which is a pity. I had a lovely route planned out through the Harriman State Park, because there are some really nice roads there, some nice twisties. But the roads have been salted and gritted recently, and so it's not terribly fun riding on them, especially on the twisty sections. So what we're going to do is call this one, take the bike home, get it cleaned up, and who knows, maybe this weekend the weather's better, and then we'll take it out again. We'll try again. Alright, we're going to take a back road home. It's a little longer. It took me maybe another extra 10-15 minutes to get home, but the road is a bit nicer to ride on. There's something very engaging about riding a bike like this without any of the electronic aids. You know, my KTM is just it's a technological masterpiece. Up and down, quick shifter, which means coming up to a stop street or tipping it into a corner, you can bang down the gearbox. It takes care of everything by itself. There's something so wonderfully engaging about the blipping the throttle, the clutch timing, the, you know, feeding the gear in, letting the clutch out. I could do without it during traffic, but on a day like this, or should I say on a ride like this, it's just nice. I've said it in one of my previous videos, it's the time of the year when as you're riding along you get these wondrous sort of wafting odors of wood smoke, and it might be that it's some cedar or hickory or oak, whatever it is that is in the fireplace at that particular time. It's an extremely nostalgic aroma. If it wasn't so cold, I'd ride around all day. Alright, well, this has been a brief introduction to another member of the Gallivanter garage. If this has been of some interest to you, please don't hesitate to give it a like. And if you want to see more of this kind of content, in the upcoming weeks and months, it will be more geared towards general garage goofiness. As I said, I'll be looking to put a slip-on on this bike. The KTM is going to have a slip-on coming. It's also got a power commander coming, so we can put that on the dyno and get the low end sorted out. Then if those are the kinds of things that interest you, please subscribe to the channel, and as ever, I'll be seeing you. You know, as much as I talk about these wondrous odors that sort of waft through, I can also tell you that the person in front of me, I think it's well, I think it's a Marlboro Light that they're smoking. Now, isn't that just your typical poster card New England autumn weather scene ish, weather scene ish? Do real men disclose that they're wearing a pair of their wife's stretchy pants underneath their jeans so that they feel warmer on a winter ride? Comments below. It would be nice to have some heated grips right now. GoPro button is on the wrong side. You know, who invented a camera and put the button on the throttle side? Jeepers.